Hello, Dr. Kimbrell. It's Amy Hammock from the 8305 class. I wanted to send you this as I reflect on the 9 principles of courageous leadership for 21st century school leaders. I chose this reading because as I read through it, I saw some things that the author mentioned that I had kind of read before and even had written about before in some of my other classes. From the 8324 class last summer, the ethics class, you asked us to write on our personal and professional ethics. For my personal ethics, I listed some characteristics that were important to me, including dependability, kindness, learning opportunities, and integrity. My professional characteristics that I found valuable were competency and trust, value learning for teachers and students, and respect. When I was in my 8301 class with Dr. Evans, she had us write our personal vision and our professional vision statement. When I was reflecting on my writing for our personal vision, I did an inventory where I looked at some of my personal characteristics, and some of those same types of characteristics came up again, including having a meaningful job that allows me to influence others' lives positively, give me a sense of being needed and valuable to society. I also found it important to have no ideas and create new and effective processes. When interacting with others, I needed to be dependable and trustworthy. I wanted to make the world a better place around me, leave something valuable that positively influences my coworkers and the staff and students in my professional life. I also always saw the value of work in others and made sure that I was providing the energy to act, help, and feel good about teamwork. I've always thought of myself as kind of a coach, a cognitive coach. And so I work really hard to build up capacity in others around me, especially in my professional life. As I read through the article that you gave us to read, one of the things that stood out to me was that I really do, from those values, want to act responsibly, accept responsibility courageously. So being able to make a decision and stand by that decision, and even if I've made a mistake, after even investigating or researching, if I'm dealing with a parent or student or a teacher, I want to be able to take ownership of that, be accountable for that, and move on. So I do want to make sure that I am always making decisions in the best interest of our students and our teachers. But if I do make a mistake, I want to be able to accept the responsibility courageously. I want to be able to implement change. I do consider myself kind of a change leader. That's why I looked at one of the things I mentioned was being able to do new processes. I'm always interested in finding equitable ways to serve our student populations, not only in my school, but in our district. I was very much a part of the movement to change how we did our AP enrollment process, because I just felt certain groups of students were not being placed in our AP program at the same rate as other students when we looked at demographic data. And so I really pushed our district into moving towards a more open enrollment process to allow more students access to the AP curriculum. It took a lot of courage because we had done things status quo for a long time. And so I just wanted to be sure that I presented the information and gave the rationale. And now we're moving forward with that process. One of the things that the article mentioned is hiring people using strict standards. One of the first situations that I described for you in the ethics class was a hiring issue where our principal at the time didn't want an interview for a new counselor. And I had a really tough time with that and kind of said that I would need to excuse myself from that process if that's the direction we were going to go. And having done the talent management plan and looking at structured interviews, that kind of paved the way for that, looking to see that we had more processes in place that were equitable and fair, and provided perhaps more diversity in our hires. So I really was interested in that. Um, Keeping everyone focused on what's important, that's teaching and learning in the school. And I've always talked about, wanting, I think of myself as a lifelong learner, and how learning is important to both our students and our teachers. Um, the author mentions about coaching others. I definitely don't see myself as a boss. Even today, I'm going to be over the new math department. One of the math department teachers came in and called me boss lady. And I said, I said, I'm an instructional leader. I want to stop you right there and kind of change the idea of that. I want to make sure that I'm with you and collaborating with you. And so we can, do the good work together. I'm not a boss. I am a boss, but, not the title boss. So that was something that was just so interesting. As I read that, it stood out. And the last thing that the author mentioned is culture of ethics and integrity. Integrity is the thing that I'm really big about. I want to be honest and transparent and equitable. Really do value ethics. And so I try to make decisions that impact our students and our teachers with integrity. Two of the things that stood in the article that I did not have any ties to back to the personal and vision statement and the leadership vision statement was communicating and addressing conflict. And I can tell you that based on my now going on 7 years as an assistant principal, I always have communication as one of my goals, because I always feel I can do that better. And so I did appreciate reading that in the article, that making sure communication is clear and that there's no, gray, murky water about communication. It's something I've always worked for. It was from some instances that happened to me early on in my administrative career. So I'm always working on that. And then effectively addressing conflict. That's where I would struggle the most. When I deal with them for, issues with HR or conflicts between teachers, for example, which I've had several in the departments that I've supervised, conflict always makes me uncomfortable. But I am, trying to find, always looking for a frame for that, making sure to have, reading books about difficult conversations. I'm always interested in finding ways to not only communicate more effectively, but also being able to frame some conversations that I might have to have with teachers prior to having those. One of the things that a assistant principal that worked with me early on talked about was, if you've got something difficult to say, don't say that in the email, just walk upstairs and talk to that teacher and have that conversation. It's something that I've lived by, and it does help me get through some what could be, contentious conflicts with our faculty. I usually don't have any issue with our students, but, sometimes dealing with adults who we expect to do certain things the correct way could be difficult, and they can get defensive. So those were just my thoughts about the information on courageous leadership. I enjoyed reading it. I just really saw a lot of myself in there, and then also places where I can improve. Thank you so much for such a successful semester this semester. I know summer was a busy time, but I appreciated the work, particularly the parts on HR. So I hope you have a good remaining summer, and I really do appreciate all of your efforts with my learning. Thanks a lot.